Brothers and sisters, we're going to begin this morning's meeting. If everyone could please stand, we're going to open up in prayer. Surely I have turned myself to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright, to him who has originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheist. Surely my prayer and my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he in this, am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King. There is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. And I ask protection against all of my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me unto the best of morals, for none guides unto the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and indecent morals but thee. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful, as thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad, as thou did bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. Ameen. Please be seated, brothers and sisters. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet my brothers and my sisters on this beautiful Sunday morning in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the language of our ancestors, our original tongue of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone feeling? All praise is due to Allah. Brothers and sisters, we want to welcome each and every one of you all out on this Sunday morning. We also want to thank those who are tuning in online via our webcast at noi.org. Or if you're tech savvy and you got a mobile phone, go ahead and pull it out, download the Nation of Islam app on your phone. And you can also stream us each and every Sunday at 10 a.m. on the mobile app as well. We want to just thank you for coming out. And we want to share with you the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. It is these teachings that have saved our lives, has taken us from being drug dealers, drug abusers, women abusers, misusing and mishandling one another, into civilized individuals. We're not all the way there yet. We're a work in progress. We're working on it. We're striving every day, but by the help of Almighty God, Allah, through our obedience to what we have been given, you will see a transformation take place every single day of our lives, and we invite each and every one of you to that same exact process. Let me also greet in the greeting words of Ramadan Mubarak. For those who may not know, this is the sacred month that we as Muslims fast, and we're fasting from when the sun comes up in the morning all the way until the sun goes down in the evening. So that is no food, no drink, no arguing, no cussing. Everything should be about purity. Everything should be about peace. Everything should be about being a better brother, being a better sister, being a better husband, a better father. This is a month of 30 days where we as Muslims are doing everything in our power to obey and be in submission to the guidance of Allah. So if you have not yet tried it out, we encourage you to try it out. Take one day. You don't have to do all 30. You know, we're still striving and working to be perfect in our 30-day journey. But if you could just try and take one day and say, you know what, for this day, I'm going to join my brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam, the Muslim world all across the globe, and I'm just going to not eat and not drink. And there's a few things that you will begin to notice when you submit to that process of fasting and refraining from water. You'll begin to be thankful for the little things that we have in life, because sometimes you don't really know what you got until it's injured or it's gone. In martial arts, I can personally bear witness because sometimes I feel healthy, I feel vibrant, but if I punch the wrong way and tweak my wrist, all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, thank you, Allah. This wrist that is hurt right now, I didn't really see how valuable it was until I needed to punch somebody in the mouth, and I can no longer do it. So you begin to become grateful once you recognize the blessings that you have in this thing called the human life. What is a blessing to have food and drink at your leisure? It is a blessing for me to be thirsty, go to the fridge, grab a glass of water, and refresh myself. But in this month, we begin to see and recognize what some of our brothers and sisters are going through when they don't have the luxury of grabbing water and grabbing food and grabbing drink at their own leisure. It's miserable to know that I can be hungry, but I have to do something extra just to put some food on my plate. Or I can be thirsty, but I have to do something extra. So now as Muslims, we begin to feel, man, my stomach's hurting. It's Ramadan, I can't eat quite yet. Whew, this is rough. But some of our brothers are in Ramadan and some of our sisters are in Ramadan unwillingly every day of their lives. They don't have the ability to eat and to drink. So in the Holy Quran, I was reading Surah 2, verse 151 and 152. Check out what it says. It says, even as we have sent among you a messenger from among you, who recites to you our messages and purifies you and teaches you the book and the wisdom and teaches you that which you did not know. Verse 152, therefore glorify me. I will make you eminent and give thanks to me and be not ungrateful to me. In the Holy Quran, we know that Allah is independent of his creation. He has no need. He does not get swoller. He does not get more muscly just because we pray or become grateful to him. To be grateful is a principle of life that if we apply it, we will begin to see him rewarding us with more. So in the scriptures, it says, those who were grateful over little, that Allah will reward us with much. So we have to be found being grateful. But one of the most beautiful things that we can be grateful in this day and time is, I like that first verse where it says, a messenger from among you. We don't have to struggle today and listen to some foreigner who may have a different accent or a different language give to us divine guidance. We don't have to listen to someone who does not culturally identify with who it is to be a black man, a black woman, an original man or original woman across the planet Earth. We have a man who came up from the same hellish conditions that we are in right now, and we are working towards becoming better students and obedience to him, because he showed us that there is a way out of the hood. There is a way out of the ghetto. There is a way out of being niggas. There is a way out of mistreating and misusing and abusing one another and living this miserable life, that if we just submit and follow the guidance that was given to us from a man among us, as the Quran says, in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we will see our lives improve for the better. But when we talk about divine guidance, there are three major things that divine guidance gives to us. The first thing that divine guidance gives to us, it saves us from time and it saves us a headache. I don't know if you've ever been in a car and you were using your little GPS, and then all of a sudden you thought that you knew better when you had guidance right there on your phone sitting in your dashboard, and you began to pass the address. You start looking around, this don't look familiar. I don't recall this the last time I was here, right? And then you wind up being late to your meeting or being late to work because you abandoned good guidance and thought that you knew better in your own way. Sometimes good guidance could come in the form of the GPS sending you a direction you think you know better, but it was telling you that because there's traffic on the other lane. And if you take that shortcut to work, you're going to run into a train stoppage or some type of backed up traffic. So it is in spirituality. Many of us think that we know how to do things right. We think we know what's best for us, but Allah says in the Holy Quran, Allah says through his messengers, do this, do that. In our ignorance, we take shortcuts. We turn left when we were supposed to keep going straight. We turn right when he said, nah, just keep going straight. And then we have time that is wasted. And we have a headache because we can't figure out how to navigate this thing called life, and we are not getting the results that Allah promised for us. The second thing that it does, it gives us proper perspective. Proper perspective meaning that, for example, if a man goes out and sows seed into the ground, desiring a crop, well, last time I checked, every single day, human beings on this planet need to eat. So the principle of planting a seed to grow food is a good idea. However, if you do the good idea in the wrong season, you won't get the right results. So if I plant at the wrong time, my crop never grows and I never get the blessing of that food because I was doing something that was correct, but at the wrong time. Good guidance gives to us that navigation of what good time really is. And then number three, good guidance shapes and molds you into what you want to become. Look at any great coach. When you have a great coach who is teaching you to become a better martial artist or to become a better basketball player, if you are found in submission and obedience to that coach, you will become a better individual. Does that make sense? Well, if our divine guidance, keyword divine, guidance coming from God, if God is the coach and he is the greatest of all coaches, if we are found in obedience and submission to him, then what will we become? And the answer is a nation of gods. So that is what we've come here this morning to establish. We want to start and begin that journey and that process to getting out of our Negro and Negro ways and molding and fashioning ourselves through obedience to Allah to be molded into a nation of gods. Brothers and sisters, I want to bring up our next presenter this morning with a round of applause. Please welcome our National Latino Representative, Student Minister Abel Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
En el nombre de Allah, el benéfico, el misericordioso. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I want to greet our brothers and our sisters here, or wherever you may be watching us across the planet this morning, in the greeting words of peace, which we say in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. Those words mean peace be unto you. And this morning, I wanted to share something from the Bible and the Holy Quran as we prepare to hear from our beloved brother, student minister, Shahid Muhammad, which I know, like you, I am anxious to hear him this morning as well. Last night, I was blessed with my family to attend. My oldest daughter had a dance performance. And it's a school that she attends that was founded by a black man named Joel Hall. And it just so happens that the school is 47 years old now, this year. But the show concluded with this powerful, powerful dance performance entitled, Everything Must Change. And those you know the song, you know it's a powerful song. But the choreography and dance that he put into the song made it all the more powerful. I was sitting there in awe of not just the music, but the movement and the story that he was telling. At first, I thought it was a story about a slave escaping from a slave master, and I think it was. And then the more I watched what happened on the stage, I thought, no, this is more modern. This is about how the black man and black youth in particular are treated by the police. And then the more I looked at it, I said, no, it's bigger than that too. It's about the mind of white supremacy and how everyone buckles under it because we don't have what is needed to rise up against that thinking that has been placed in us. I thought of the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that culture is the outgrowth of knowledge at a particular period of time. So what we're listening to on the radio, what we're seeing on TV, the way we dress is based on what our thinking is as a people. All praise is due to Allah. So if we aren't happy with what we see, then we have to start looking at how we think. And if you look in all of our lives, the reason we got up on a dreary Sunday morning is because we're all dissatisfied and unhappy to some degree, not just with the world we're in, because we're in that world, we're unhappy with our own condition in this same type of world. And what we need then is not just something that's gonna make us sing a song, although a good song is good. We don't want just something that's gonna make us get up and dance and move a little bit, although that can be all right as well. But what we want and need is that which will allow us to change the condition of our lives by changing the condition of our thinking. So as I went home last night thinking about the performance, I kept thinking about a verse found in the Holy Quran in a couple of places where it says, Allah God never changes the condition of a people until they change themselves. I thought about that because I said, well, I know God isn't just saying just sit there and wait for change to happen. Because if we had what was needed to change, what would we do? We would change. But we're dissatisfied and unhappy because we desire change, but we don't know how to change. We know the type of life that we want to live. We know what we want access to, but we don't even know how to begin to get on the road to be what we dream about being. It says in the book of 2 Chronicles in the Bible, in the 7th chapter, the 14th verse, that if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then shall I hear from heaven and will forgive them their sin and will heal their land. I thought about this verse as I thought about this change that we all want. And I noticed that it says that if my people, which are called by my name, and then it says they have to humble themselves, they have to seek his face, they have to turn from their wicked ways. So there's things that we have to do. But first, before we are expected to do anything by God, he calls us. And that's what we're here to receive this morning. We know we want to change, and God knows that we can't change on our own. In physics, we are told that an object at rest will stay at rest unless or until it is acted upon by an external and outside force which changes the non-movement of the solid or the mass and then begins it towards a movement. The earth that we're standing on isn't just rotating on its own. It cannot resist the power of the sun, which begins its movement. And what we're here to receive this morning from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the light of truth that will take us from our condition and begin us moving towards that which you and I desire for ourselves. What a beautiful and blessed God and day we live in today. That God knows what we need and he's ready to give it to us if we will just simply open our ears to Brother Student Minister Shahid this morning. We will receive what we need to get us moving in the right direction from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Are you ready for that kind of teaching this morning? I know I am too. To take us further into the program, please welcome to the rostrum Student Minister Abdul Muhammad. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we give him praise and thanks for coming in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, raising up the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and granting to us out of his grace the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I would like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. How you all feel this morning? All praise is due to Allah. Brothers and sisters, I just want to share a few words from the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. As the whole entire planet Earth knows, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was recently banned from Facebook and Twitter, right? And he came out and defended himself against, and Minister Ismail Muhammad defended him as well, against the ban by our open enemies. But you have to ask yourself the question as a black person, which black leader that was beneficial for us would not have been banned by Facebook? So if Nat Turner was alive today, right, would Nat Turner, who was talking about getting free from slavery, would Nat Turner be banned by Facebook and Instagram? If he's trying to get the black people together and say, let's go free, right? You always got a couple of Negroes that don't want to be free, right? If Harriet Tubman, who came in and out of the South freeing black people on the Underground Railroad, if they could have banned Harriet Tubman from freeing black people, what would they do? They would have banned Harriet Tubman. Any black leader that is beneficial for us, if white people had the power to ban them, guess what they would have done? They would have banned them. What about Frederick Douglass, a self-educated black man who escaped from slavery and then went to war with the institution of slavery? Would white people have banned Frederick Douglass? I know you saying in your mind right now, well, see, the good white people wouldn't have banned Frederick Douglass. But what did Frederick Douglass say about these so-called good white people? Frederick Douglass said that the so-called good white people were worse than the slave masters because they pretended to be the friends of black people, but did not want real freedom for black people. Today you call them liberal white folks. All praise is due to Allah. If the enemy had the power to ban Marcus Garvey, guess what they would have done? They deported Marcus Garvey. So you know if they had the power to ban him, then they would. What about Fred Hampton, right? Right here in Chicago, feeding black children on the west side of Chicago. Would they have banned Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party if they had the power to? Absolutely. Any leader that is good for us, if they had the power to ban them, guess what? They would have banned them. What about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad? If they had the ability and the power to ban him, then they would have. And Malcolm X, and Stokely Carmichael, and the list goes on. But have you noticed that they never have the power, or I'm not going to say they don't have the power, they never exercise the power to ban anything that is harmful for you. If you want to go get a whole pig right now and eat it from the nose to the tail and die from high blood pressure and colon cancer, white folks don't have a problem with that. If you want to go buy as many blunts as you can smoke, right, and lose your mind in loud and weed, white people have no problem with that, right? If you want to be on the block fighting and shooting and killing each other and shooting dice in the alley, white people have no problem with that. If you want to go to Kenwood Liquor and buy as much Ciroc and Patron and whatever you want to buy and fill the car up, white people are not going to stop you from doing that. If you want to go watch XXX movies until your eyeballs stick together, white people don't have no problem with that. You understand? If you pop Percocets and Mollies and Xanax with your Sprite, white people have no problem with that. Am I right or wrong? Anything that is detrimental to you is free for you to access in their world because it's destroying you. But anything that is lifting us up, then they don't want you to have it because they want us to remain in the position of a tool and a slave. All praise is due to Allah. Now let me just say this real quick. Now there's a verse in the Bible, as we bring up Minister Ishmael, that says that blessed are you, Jesus talking, Matthew 5:11, when men shall revile you, persecute you, and speak all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. This is how you know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is with the real Jesus. Because that scripture fits him 100%. And this is how you know that us who are following him are with the real Jesus, because if you follow him, then the same thing goes for you. People revile you, people persecute you, and speak all manner of evil falsely for his name's sake. So now, brothers and sisters, we know that Facebook does not have the power to ban the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All they did was make the man more popular. That's all they did. We should write a letter to Mark Zuckerberg thanking him for helping us to spread the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad all over the planet Earth. The Holy Quran says the Jews planned and Allah planned, and Allah is the best of planners, right? The Arabic word for plan is makara, which means a scheme that is designed to deceive someone. So they designed their scheme, and Allah didn't stop them from their scheme. He just took their scheme and wrapped it up into his. And now this man's name is all over the world thanks to Mark Zuckerberg. People watching his videos back to back. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg and Benjamin Netanyahu, for that. Last verse from the Holy Quran. Listen to what it says in the Holy Quran. They desire to put out the light of Allah with their mouths, and Allah will allow nothing save the perfection of his light, though the disbelievers be adverse. That is why they're afraid of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because he brings the light from God. And it's the light from the sun that changes the planet Earth, that causes the earth to rotate. When the sunlight hits anything, it brings out what is in that thing. We might look at a seed and not know what that seed is, right? Because we're not botanists. But when you plant it and you give it water and sunlight, the sun brings out what? What is within. The enemy knows that within the black man and woman is God himself. And with the light from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Spirit of God that is in us will be manifested from us. Please receive, and that's the light that you're going to get today from Brother Shahid. Please receive to the rostrum the minister here at Mas Mariam, Minister Ishmael Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Brother Abdul, Student Minister Abdul Muhammad. Thank you, Brother Student Minister Abel Muhammad. And we thank our Student Minister, Brother Daniel, 5X. 10X. 10 to the power. Got it. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. We thank him for his many blessings. We thank him for his many gifts. We thank him for his goodness, his mercy. We thank him for his prophets and messengers. We thank him for his intervention in our affairs. As a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I cannot thank Allah enough for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. We thank him for his wise choice of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to be his messenger Messiah, and we thank him for the man who is in our midst today, this beautiful, wonderful human being. He is the best friend that the black man of America and black people around the world could have. He is, my dear brothers and sisters, a divine leader, teacher, and guide. You know him. He's your brother and friend, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet you with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Well, the student ministers have already said everything. I had a few of those verses, Brother Abdul, in my head to share, but you said it all. So I will take this privilege to introduce to some and to reintroduce to others a very beautiful brother. He is a great star in the constellation of believers and witnesses of the Messiah and his work in the world. I am very, very blessed to have known him and worked with him for at least 3 decades now. He was born in the nation of Islam. He has worked as a teacher at Muhammad University of Islam for nearly 30 years. He's called the math doctor. And all of the students throughout his tenure at Muhammad University of Islam and where he has taught in other institutions, they love Brother Shahid Muhammad. And those brothers and sisters who have struggled with math, he has come up with a way to help the student to learn math. He's the author of several books, How to Teach Math to Black Children, and he's just a beautiful brother. He has been absolutely steadfast in his faith. He is one of the most committed, devoted, and dedicated followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He never fails. He's a professor, he's a teacher, he's a father, he's a husband, but in all of those duties, he never fails to carry every week a bundle of final call newspapers to distribute that word of truth to our people. And he never fails every week to bring a guest to the mosque. There's a brother, he raised his hand. You're a guest of Brother Minister Shahid Muhammad, and I know you brothers love him. He's very well known in the city, particularly on 63rd Street and near Cottage Grove. And that whole community, they know their brother Shahid because of his work, because of his commitment, And so it is my honor and privilege to bring before you this morning student minister Shahid Muhammad. Let us receive our dear brother with a warm, well-deserved round of applause.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. Can you move that? Just move it over a little bit. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. I would like to first begin by thanking Allah for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, for it wasn't for those two mighty individuals, I wouldn't have anything of substance to say to you this morning. I thank my brother in the struggle, Brother Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad, for extending the invitation to me, and we don't take it lightly. We also would like to thank Allah for one of Minister Farrakhan's greatest companions and helpers, a righteous woman, a royal queen, the radiant, noble, and angelic First Lady of the Nation of Islam, Mother Khadija Farrakhan. All praise due to Allah. And I pray Allah, my mother is watching, so I want to definitely recognize the womb that bore me. Sending shout outs to my mother, Sister Aisha Muhammad, all the way in Philadelphia. And she's probably on post, but I must recognize and send love out to the one who will always be the lady in my life. One of the most diligent, hardworking, dedicated MGTs on the planet Earth, a master educator, my queen, and as Michael Jackson says, my PYT. Pretty young thing. Sister Shahida Muhammad. Are we up, Brother Troy? So, family, if we all, abre nuestros ojos, open our eyes. That's my little attempt at Spanish. We have to ask, or we will ask the same question that Marvin Gaye asked in his song. What is going on? If we check local, current, national, and international events and news, we see humanity is living in a hellish state. Satan has launched an all-out attack on humanity. And like a dragon, he is taking us down to hell with him. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in his lecture at St. Sabina just recently, mentioned this. He said, we have degenerated into something that is subhuman. But out of all people on the planet, white, yellow, brown, red, we know those that have been most destroyed, most transformed, most transmogrified by Satan and his hosts is the black man and woman in the wilderness of North America. Do you know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad describes us as a people a degree below nothing? If you know any math skills, that means we're in the negative zone. We ain't even at nothing yet, we're below that. Now, one of the main reasons we are in a hell of a condition is we lack the root knowledge of our enemy. Minister Ishmael mentioned a couple weeks ago in one of his lectures that one of our problems is we don't know our enemy. You cannot fight a war without knowledge of your enemy. We make grave mistakes and errors in our attempt to solve our people's problems because we lack the knowledge of how wicked, evil, demonic our open enemies really are. We have Negroes that are treating a poisonous cobra snake like a garden snake. We are treating an inferno like a little campfire. We are treating stage 4 cancer as if it's a common cold. The problem is we don't know our enemy. So in the art of war, there we go. Sun Tzu says this: if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. And we have been defeated in almost every battle because we lack a knowledge of our enemy. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad also stated that you and I cannot fathom the depths of Satan. Satan's wickedness, savagery, and evil is like a bottomless pit. Work with me, please. Bring up the image of the bottomless pit. Here we go. All right. What we don't know is we are not dealing with a human heart, a human mind, a human spirit when we deal with Satan, the wicked 10%, the rulers of the darkness. These demons have no compassion. They have no conscience. They have no justice or righteousness in them. When that demon went into that black church in South Carolina, those black Christians thought that they were looking at a man with a human heart. They did not know they were dealing with a beast, a brute, a savage, a deadly predator. Satan is the most powerful, deadly, most ferocious beast that exists. Now, those in power are described as beasts. In a lecture the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did entitled "The Spirit of Warning," he stated this: according to the teachings of the prophets, the scriptures of the Bible refer to the powers that govern this world in both the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation under the symbol of 4 great beasts. Now, you know it's not talking about a lion, a tiger, a leopard, a bear, or a panther. It's talking about governments. A beast does what it has the appetite to do and the power to do. Then he says beasts are not moved by moral persuasion. What is a beast? If we go to Roget's Thesaurus, we get a nice description in synonyms of this word beast. It says a beast is a person brutish in nature, a monster, a brute, a degenerate, an animal, a fiend, a swine, pervert, savage, barbarian, and so on. These are synonyms that describe the wicked rulers that we are up under. This is Satan and his minions. They are barbarians, predators. The rulers of darkness are likened unto beasts and animals, even in Bible. If we go to Isaiah 13, 21 to 22, but desert creatures will lie down there, and their houses will be full of owls. Ostriches also will live there, and shaggy goats will frolic there. Hyenas will howl in their fortified towers, and jackals in their luxurious palaces. Her fateful time also will soon come, and her days will not be prolonged. So throughout the Bible, the enemy, the beast, is used to describe this satanic force. Even in Genesis 49, look how Jacob describes his son. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, in the morning devouring the prey, and at evening dividing the spoil. Today we hope to speak on our subject, music calms the savage beast. We have humans that are operating with the minds of beasts in high positions of power. The leaders of today are like snakes. In our Supreme Wisdom lesson book given to us by Master Fard Muhammad, in lesson 1, question 8, it talks about the devil and describes him as one that is 100% wicked and will not keep and obey the laws of Islam. His ways and actions are like a what? A snake of the grafted type. There's another instance of the enemy, devil, being described as a beast. Then in a lecture the minister did called "The Restrictive Law of Islam is Our Success," The minister says this: a serpent has many strange names attached to it, viper, snake. But whenever you talk about a serpent in human terms, you are talking about a human being who is crooked, who slithers on the stomach low to the earth. The serpent in the book of Genesis becomes a beast in the book of Revelations. See, that serpent, that beast, that dragon is that wicked 10%. We have a question in our lessons that asks the question, who is the 10%? These are the rich, slave makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies to believe that the almighty true and living God is a spook and cannot be seen by the physical eye, also known as the blood suckers of the poor. Now, if these beasts have been described as beasts, they must have done some things on the beast-like level. What have they done on a beast-like level to the masses of the planet? What have they done to the nations of the earth? What has the 10% done to the 85%? Do you know that the 10% views the 85% as animals? You don't believe me? So let's go to one of the people that some of you like, one of the presidents, Abe Lincoln. In an article published by the Nation of Islam Research Group called 10 Best Lies of Black History. Listen to this. Lincoln himself was never hesitant to express his hatred of black people. So maybe you can take his picture off your mantelpiece. Like when he said, as the Negro is to the white man, so is the crocodile to the Negro. And as the Negro may rightfully treat the crocodile as a beast or a reptile, so may the white man treat the Negro as a beast or a reptile. This is the mindset of those in power that we are trying to ask for freedom, justice, and equality and wonder why the hell we haven't gotten it. Because they don't even see us as human beings. They call us 3/5 of a human being. That's only 60%. Look at the mind of the enemy toward the black man and woman in America. Brother Minister Ishmael and Brother Minister Malik Muhammad mentioned this in one of their presentations. It's talking about that white man named Henry Berry, who was addressing the Virginia House of Delegates in 1832. And he said this: "Sir, we have as far as possible closed every avenue by which light may enter their minds. We have only to go one step further to extinguish the capacity to see the light." Now here's the part dealing with the lecture title. "And our work will be completed. They would then be reduced to what? The level of the beasts of the field. And we should be safe." This is the mindset back then and today of how they want to subjugate and keep down the black man and woman. Now, has our other original family fared any better under these beasts? What about our Indian brothers and sisters? Were they not given smallpox and blankets after the Indians helped them make it through the winter? This is how these white devils rewarded the Indians, by slaughtering them wholesale. Scholars in science of demographics estimated the indigenous population in the Americas at about 30 million in pre-Columbus figures. In 2010, they estimate there's about 5.3 million people in the United States that identify as American Indian and Alaska Native. What happened to all those millions? Wiped out and slaughtered by the beasts of the field. What about our Mexican family? Mexicans had land stolen and were savagely lynched and killed. Most of us don't even read about this or haven't heard about this, that we weren't the only ones lynched. In a New York Times article called "When Americans Lynch Mexicans," it reads, "Americans are largely unaware that Mexicans were frequently the targets of lynch mobs. From 1848 to 1928, mobs murdered thousands of Mexicans, though surviving records allowed us to clearly document only about 547 cases. What about the yellow man? Has he fared any better under this beast? Did they not drop a bomb on the yellow man? Did they not put the brown man, the Japanese, in concentration camps? These wicked demons create vaccinations that cause all type of diseases and deaths. Have you ever heard of the sterilization of women? In a Final Call article, they mentioned this. The practice of compulsory sterilization was part of a global eugenics movement which the United States pioneered and from which the Nazis drew inspiration. The theory was that people considered irreparably inferior, such as disabled people, people of color, poor women who already had children, and some convicts, should be barred from having children for the good of society. Have you ever heard of the poisoning of water in Flint, Michigan? Done by beasts in human form. Do you know in black and brown neighborhoods, they build them around toxic waste dumps? There's a biological and chemical warfare against the masses. Do you know that these beasts not only mistreat humans, but they don't even treat animals right? Can we go to an article in the Final Call called Factory Farming, Cruelty to Animals? On today's factory farms, animals are crammed by the thousands into filthy, windowless sheds and confined to wire cages. They look like on a slave plantation. Gestation crates, barren dirt lots, and other cruel confinement systems. In that monumental, spiritually elevating, divinely inspired 58-part series delivered by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that all of us need to go back and watch again, entitled The Time and What Must Be Done. This is what the minister said in episode 18. In an hour as dangerous as this, when darkness is overspreading, and evil is spreading far and wide, and Satan is practicing every art of deceit, that the righteous may fall victim to his wiles. See, Satan and his helpers have plummeted the entire world into darkness. And America is the darkest place on earth. Can we go to Revelations 18:2? It describes the modern Babylon, which is America. It says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of what? Devils, in a hole of every foul spirit, in a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. The masses, unfortunately, have become just like their wicked rulers. We have become just like Satan and his dumb devils. White, brown, yellow, red, and black have all been swallowed up by Satan. And now we are living the life of a beast. A lecture the minister did on Prophet Muhammad and the Holy Quran. He states, civilization as it was is as it was at the time of the birth of Prophet Muhammad, teetering on the brink of total collapse into savagery and barbarianism. The world right now looks as though no prophet has ever entered this world. From the far west, savagery and barbarianism is the human condition. Can we get a witness? Black people in America in particular have been transformed into our open enemy. The minister described us as white black people because we have become just like our open enemy. We now have allowed beasts to make us into beasts. I know you're sitting there with your degree and you're a little upset. We may not be speaking to you. You can just float on out to Mars. But we're speaking of the masses that have become beasts in human form. Can we go to our Savior has arrived? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says this, one animal, the sheep, is trustworthy. In the other animal, the goat, is untrustworthy. By nature, the black people are good, but the black man is like a sheep. If the wrong people, the evil people, teach and guide him, he will become like his evil guide. And if you have been in Chicago, in the streets of Chicago, in the streets of every ghetto in America, you got to bear witness that we have become just like our enemy. Public Enemy, one of my favorite rap groups, had a song and the lyric went, "The hater taught hate. That's why we gangbanging." America is a place welcoming savagery and beast-like behavior. You actually get rewarded the more savage you are. You get a reality show. You get an award. Look at the crimes. Look at the news. There was an episode or an event that happened about a week ago. Police say a 20-month-old baby was stabbed to death, then burned in an oven in a home in Shaw, Mississippi. You might remember recently, if you can bring your slide up, unfortunately this was a sister that did it, black woman pushes 74-year-old man off the bus, and he eventually died from his injuries. And all the white man said was, "Can you be nice to the people on the bus?" So she wasn't nice to the people on the bus, and she wasn't nice to him. Look at the murder, the homicides, fratricide, domestic violence, brutality of one human to another. We have become beasts in human form. We need a certain type of music that will calm and civilize the savage beast. If you look at social media, people are always posting madness, girl fights, hood fights, ghetto fights, any fights, because we become buck wild savage. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad mentions this in Fall of America. The chapter is entitled Savagery of America. Listen to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. There is no such thing as law and order. The law is disregarded as though it were thrown in the jungles to be carried out by savage beasts. Murdering, killing, robbery, raping, and drug addiction are the only law and order that is respected. He goes on to say, it has become such a country, talking about America, that the civilized man of intelligence and decency is afraid to walk the streets of the vast towns and cities of America. He would be more secure in the jungles, around and in the midst of wild beasts, than to be walking in the streets of these great cities in America after night. You tell me we haven't become beasts in human form when you're safer in the jungles around ravenous wolves and coyotes than to walk down the streets of 47th, 53rd, 63rd Street in the ghettos of America. Every wicked imagination of the mind is being committed inside America. In that powerful, illuminating series or study guide, it's called Self-Improvement, if you can bring that up. The minister said this, but when you can do evil with impunity and don't feel anything, you are dead morally, dead spiritually, and you are what? An animal in your so-called human existence. He hit it right there on there, we can go home. Listen to the conversation of society. Is it on a high level or on a low level? Very low level. Listen to the conversation of the black man about his woman. The black man has no respect for his woman because we have become savage and beast-like in our view of self, in our view of women. How do you know? Look at the names that we call our women. I call all the women in my college class queens, and they are bamboozled because they never heard nobody call them that before. But we're not calling our women that unless we got under the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, or have become enlightened. Or we call our women the B word, chicken head, hood rat, the H word, skeezer, shorty, which don't make no sense to me. You 5'10" and she's 7 foot, you talking about what up, shorty? Something wrong with your mathematics. This is why police have declared an all-out war on our sisters. We see it all over the country, beating our women, shooting our women, and we sit on the sideline and film it and don't get our behinds up to do anything to save our women. We become beasts in human form. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaks to this in that monumental book, Message to the Black Man. He says in a chapter called Protect and Elevate Your Woman, there is no nation on earth that has less respect for and as little control of their women, as we so-called Negroes here in America. Even animals and beasts, the fowls of the air, have more love and respect for their females than have the so-called Negroes of America. Good Lord, brothers, that's a hell of a charge. That we're not even on the same level of the animals. If you see any episode of Animal Planet, you'll see the bear on post. You'll see the male lion on post. Is that right? Like what you gonna do? But we allow anybody to come up in the hood, beat our women. We just sit there and film it and say, damn. In our lessons, lesson 1, question 2, why did Musa have a hard time to civilize the devil 2000 BC? And if we bring it up to the modern time, why does the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam have a hard time to civilize black people and humanity 2019? Same answer, because we are savage. A savage is a person that has lost the knowledge of himself and is living a beast life. Because we have lost the knowledge of self. It's evident everywhere. We have women that don't know whether they are women and might want to be a man. We have men that don't know whether they want to be a man and want to be a woman. Can you bring up one of the pictures from the Oscars? And you had some black women that put their young boys in the same dress and said it looks cute. We have lost the knowledge of ourselves. What are some of the famous quotes about this word beast? Can you bring up Albert Camus? This individual said, a man without ethics is a wild beast let loose upon this world. See, brothers in particular, why do we love this term beast? Some of you watch the NBA playoffs, and if somebody slams dunks, you say, man, he a beast. What happened to trying to be a guy? And we are absolutely proud to say, I'm a beast. Bring up our wonderful sister, Gabby Douglas. Look what she said. She got caught up in the athleticism, we understand. You've got to be confident when you're competing. You've got to be a beast. Bring up Frederick the Great. He said, every man has a wild beast within him. Did Frederick lie? Not if our eyes are open today. Look at what we wear. We go out in the public and we let all our shame out. Is that right? If you go to the zoo, even animals have a tail to hide their shame. And when you visit the zoo, the animals look at us and say, damn, why are we locked up? They more savage than us. Look at what we think. It's on the lowest level of the low. Bring up the Bible, Isaiah 55, 8 through 9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Because our thoughts are on the lowest level. I'm speaking on the masses now, right? Look at the level of perversions in the world, and in America particularly. When those Caucasians were let out of Europe, they were mostly the dregs of the European society. And guess what they brought with them? Their perversions, their freakishness, their savagery, and us being wrapped up in them. Now we pick it up and we doing the same thing. They have something called paraphilia, which is the experience of intense sexual arousal from atypical objects, situations, or individuals. In other words, craziness. It includes pedophilia, zoophilia, transvestism, bestiality, and plushophobia, which is people that have love relations with their stuffed animals. We should drop the mic and go home. I don't know if you all caught it on Facebook or one of the social media. There was a video of white boys who paid farmers to have relations with their pigs. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us one of the first signs of a savage is they like going nude. This is why we thank Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan putting our women and men in righteous garments. We were out in the street yesterday, and FYI, I always get this question, aren't you hot in them suits? I'm like, do you realize you half naked? You hotter than me. You go to Saudi Arabia or Dubai, they covered. They ain't out there with Daisy Dukes on talking about it's hot. Let's go to message to the black man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this about the Caucasians when they were running to the caves. Being deprived of divine guidance for their disobedience, the making of mischief and causing bloodshed in the holy nation of the original black people by lies. They became so savage that they lost all shame. They started going nude, as they are doing today, in leading the so-called Negroes into the very acts. So following after the beast, we have become just like them. It's clear in the American society if our eyes are open, is that right? Look at the fashions. You can't even call it fashion. It's like a piece of cloth and then you put a name on it. And that's fashion. Look at the TV shows. You have a show called Naked and Afraid. You have another one called Dating Naked. We are living on the level of beasts. Why is it that we have this found love for animals? You ever ask that question? Now, there's nothing wrong with loving animals, but in America, we take it to a whole nother level. And it could be because we're on their level, so that's why we love them so much. Can it be connected to our state of mind? What is this fascination of Americans with animals? Do you know there's over about 1,000 movies animated about animals? Look how many books, cartoons, and shows are about talking animals. Look how many sports teams, if you can bring that article up, are named after animals. There are 122 professional sports teams in North America, some named after weather, colors, and numbers, some after music, like the Utah Jazz, the St. Louis Blues. But without a doubt, the highest trend in sports team names is animals. 39 teams in the NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL are all named after animals. Have you ever heard of this saying, dog is man's best friend? We hope you, as an original individual, are not found saying that. You have to be on an animal level for your best friend, your BFF, to be an animal. No original man should be found making that claim. Let's go to the message to the black man, the making of the devil. After a time, the dog held a high place among the family, talking about Caucasians, because of his fearlessness to attack the enemies of his master. Today, the dog is still loved by the white race and is given more justice than the so-called Negroes, and is called the white man's best friend. This comes from their cave days. So what do you look like running around? You know what I mean? That's my dog, man. That's my dog, man. We have adopted the same mindset. We walk down the street with pit bulls saying, that's my boys, and then we run up to our boy and say, what up, dog? Call our women a female dog and drink a bottle of Mad Dog. We all messed up. What do beasts primarily spend their time doing? One, eating, sleeping, having sex, and playing. Does that sound familiar? Have you ever heard of ghetto life? What do we all want to do? Wake up, eat, sleep, Try to find some sex and play and have pleasure and enjoyment. Beasts function off of emotion, not mathematics. Look at this country in particular. All we want to do, brothers and sisters, is feel good. All we want is pleasure. We're caught in the comfort zone. Listen to the love songs. Rarely do you hear, oh, I love you because you have intellectual ability. Oh, I love you because you can recite the Holy Quran cover to cover. What do we hear? You make me feel so good. No one makes me feel the way you do. I love the way you make me feel. You feel so real. This is the animal beast level. Everything is about feeling. If you go to the Holy Quran, the Maulana Muhammad Ali translation, in footnote 1239, look what he says about this lowest stage. Man's self here is called Amara. It is, in fact, the lowest stage in the spiritual growth of man. It is what may be called his animal self. Low desires and animal passions rule the mind of man, and he is capable of doing any evil without feeling any pangs at all. He submits to his lower desires like the brute. Does that sound familiar to 85% of the planet Earth? This is why, and I forgot to do it this morning, but this is why every time I mount the rostrum, except for this morning, I ask the question, how you feeling? And then I follow up, how you thinking? And some people, when I say how you thinking, they have the sheep look on their face, like, what is he talking about? Because most people ask you how you feel. But we don't need to be feeling, we need to be thinking today, because we have an open enemy. And it's going to take knowledge to deal with them. See, beasts don't think. Beasts don't rationalize. Beasts don't reason. They don't calculate. They don't use higher order thinking. They act off of stimulus and emotion. But you need to know that the rulers of the underworld, the synagogue of Satan, are masters of social engineering. Can you bring that up on the screen? Humanity, white, brown, yellow, red, and black, must be aware that we are being tricked, used, and socially engineered for destruction and desolation. And the only way they can do that is because we're living on the level of a beast. The assault by Satan, family, will continue if we remain beasts in human form. Our lives will continue to be in a hell of a state if we continue to operate on the animal level. We have to change our behavior quickly and expeditiously. So now we're bringing to the solution. We didn't want you to get all depressed and walk out and might want to do something to yourself, because it's just that dire. Hold your head up high. What is the solution? Well, the saying says, music calms the savage beast. Some of you might remember Bugs Bunny. And in one of the episodes, there was a wild beast, and Bugs Bunny picked up the violin and started playing, and the wild beast was dancing. Keep that image in your head for a second. What is the first step? You got to turn off Satan's music. We're dancing to the music of Satan, and we dancing good. We getting down dirty. We're dancing to the music of the wicked rulers. We're dancing to the music of the 10%. They are making us savages. Now, that's regular music that you play, but that's also their culture, their mind, their ways. All that's music that we dancing to. And we've been dancing and butt dancing to that music of Satan for over 400 years. What effect does this have on us and the entire human family? And does music have an effect on you? Well, they did a dissertation. And the dissertation was entitled, The Effects of Different Types of Music on Mood, Tension, and Mental Clarity. Look what they found. With grunge rock music, beautiful name for like heavy metal, crazy rock music, significant increases were found in, listen, hostility, sadness, tension, and fatigue. And reductions were observed in caring, relaxation, mental clarity, and vigor. In contrast, after listening to designer music, which is music designed to have a specific effect on the listener, significant increases were seen in caring, relaxation, mental clarity, and vigor, and decreases in hostility, fatigue, sadness, and tension. Now, you and I already knew this. Anytime you see a scene where people are chaotic, savage in a movie, what type of music are they usually playing? Heavy metal. Have you ever heard of Lean On Me, the movie? One of my favorite movies, and my wife's too. It opens with a scene of straight chaos in a school. Are they playing jazz? Are they playing hip hop? No, they're playing Welcome to the Jungle. So we have to turn off the music of Satan and stop dancing with the enemy. Do you know there's a lot of songs that are titled Dance with the Devil? Can you bring that image up? Thank you very much. But one in particular by Felipe Coronel and Sean George. Listen to this lyric. So when the devil wants to dance with you, you better say never. Because the dance with the devil might last you forever. Let's go to Our Savior Has Arrived. Talking about dancing with the devil's music. As a people who have been robbed and spoiled, as we the black people have been robbed of our own, naturally we dance by the music of the white slave master and his children until we learn who we are. You and I should be tired of dancing with the devil because it's not getting us nothing but hell. But some of us are hard-headed and we still want to dance with the devil. Some of us, like that song we say, instead of hey big girl, we say hey Satan, back it up. We've been dancing with the devil so good that it's become comfortable. Music calms the savage beast. But we don't need to just calm the savage. No, no, no. We need to civilize the beast. Is that right? We need to transform the beast. So we need to change it from music calms the savage beast to music civilizes and transforms the savage beast. That's what we want to talk about today. Now the question is, can music do that? Does music have the power to change you and I? Does music have the power to transform, to resurrect? Well, there's an online article called The Healing Power of Music. Listen to what it says. Hospitals around the country are using music therapy as a way to ease a patient's pain, lower blood pressure, and reduce anxiety and depression, allowing patients to heal faster. When we listen to music we love, that certain melody resonates deep in our soul and can provide a space and time where all problems disappear. Music, the right music, to our liking, has a way of touching our souls in a deep and subtle way. Music can bring us back to life from a depressed state. We can be resuscitated by a single inspirational melody. Isn't that something? Some of y'all know you might be down, right? And somebody turns on Frankie Beverly, right? And you forget all about your woes. Now, that was proven when the minister spoke on our beloved sister, Aretha Franklin. The healing power of music. Listen to what he says. Her songs, can you bring it? Yeah. Her songs, her soul, and her voice did not only reach our ears, but reached our hearts, our souls, and our spirits to lift us above where we were and caused us to survive the horror, the tyranny of our painful existence as ex-slaves, free slaves, Jim Crow sufferers. Our souls yearned for relief. She supplied that balm to our pain. So yes, music can do that. But how much more of a bomb would spiritual music be? How much more transformative would the music of truth be, the music of Islam be to our people in humanity? Praise be to Allah. We need a music that can uplift fallen humanity living on a beast level. We need a music that can elevate our consciousness, stimulate the self-accusing spirit within, raise our moral character, and transform us into gods. Well, to me, this sounds like a special, exquisite, divinely inspired, divinely created type of music. What type of music has that type of power? What does a savage need to be transformed? What does a human on an animal plane need to rise and elevate to a divine state? Well, let's go back to that 58-part series of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, The Time and What Must Be Done. He says this: so just as the people that went into a cave-like existence until Moses came to get them up out of that existence, the Son of Man would also be in a condition similar. And God would have to come and do a great service, stand up a human being that was crawling after the similitude of the beasts of the field. A human being that lost the knowledge of self and was living the life of a beast. Only Allah, family, God, has the power, has the wisdom, has the knowledge, has the perfect methodology that can transform a beast into a human, into a God. So that perfect transformative spiritual music must be divinely rooted. It must come from and out of the mind of Allah God. Well, that means, should we wait around for God to come and bring that type of spiritual music? Well, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to wait around at all. God came and visited us. God came and did the greatest service for you and I. He came to save us from a beast life. He came to transform us from an animal level to a God. That one that came is the supreme savior for the black man and woman and for all humanity. I'm speaking of the supreme being, Allah God in person, Master Fard Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. Master Fard Muhammad came with supreme healing like music to resurrect and save us. We need the music of the Word of God. We need the music of divine revelation. We need the music of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We cannot rise from the beast level without knowledge. Bring up the minister's article in his lecture, Africa Must Rise and Be Free. The minister says, if Allah God created the heavens and the earth with truth and wisdom, then how can we reflect our Creator and not produce anything? Without knowledge, there is no difference between us and the beasts of the field. Therefore, Allah God requires all of us to become men and women of knowledge. So we need to get knowledge, is that right? But the question is, what knowledge? There is a plethora of different knowledges out there on all levels of thought. All you got to do is press YouTube, and you got millions of videos of people claiming to have knowledge. But just as we need a special type of music to bring about healing and transformation, we must have a superior divine knowledge to transform us from beast to human to divine. We must have a spiritual composition that contains the three essential knowledges: the knowledge of self, the knowledge of God, and the knowledge of your enemy. We must have a spiritual musical symphony that plays supreme wisdom, pure, undiluted, 100% truth. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can hold your head up high you're in the right place. You're at the right website. Because that body of knowledge was gifted to us by Master Fard Muhammad. And he taught it too and put it in the mind of the one he raised, the one he exalted, the one he elevated, the one that he transformed into a God. I'm speaking of the exalted Christ and Messiah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Praise be to Allah. No other body of knowledge has the transformative power other than the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The teaching is that powerful, illuminating spiritual music that transforms beasts and savages into civilized individuals. When the black woman listens and dances to the music of truth coming from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, she is transformed, and it looks something like that. Praise be to Allah. When the black man listens and dances to the music of truth of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he is transformed, and it looks something like this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been playing the music of truth, of resurrection, for 40 years. He could not play the music forever, though. He had to go to take his training, his supreme education from Allah God to the next level. Not die, take his education to the next level. So he had an apprentice. He had a student that he taught how to play the music of truth just like him. This one became his supreme student, his magnificent apprentice, the modern day Jesus, the modern day David, the door to get out of the beast's existence. Y'all ain't let me get to the crescendo. He became the one and only gateway out of hell. I'm speaking of the quintessential national representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Praise be to Allah. Now, I said that he's the modern day David. Minister Farrakhan has special feet because they fit in so many prophets' shoes. Notice David in the Bible gained fame first as a musician. He played a string instrument, then he got greater fame when he took on Goliath and kicked his behind. Well, the modern day David, Minister Farrakhan, just so happens to be a master musician of a string instrument. That got him fame, but that didn't give him his greatest fame. His greatest fame comes from him taking on the modern day Goliath today and defeating all their powers with the help of Allah in his Christ. That's for all the Negro naysayers. Y'all always pumping up Minister Farrakhan. We're not pumping it up. We talking actual fact. You tell me why it's a coincidence that he fits in so many prophets' shoes. Just bow down and recognize. No one elucidates the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad like a master musician better than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Only a master student can properly play the music of a master musician. Everybody can't play Prince. Everybody can't play Beethoven. You got to get into the mind, the spirit of the man or woman when they were writing the masterpiece. So what does that teach us? There's a lot of so-called representatives, so-called leaders, so-called students of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You see them all over on Facebook, all over on YouTube, claiming that they are the one. But when they play the music of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, for some reason, we don't get the same effect. That's why they never show you the audience, because ain't nobody there. Why don't we get the same effect as when Farrakhan preaches? Because they lack the love, the spirit, the mind, the illumination, the magnetism, and the divine connection and backing that only a unique, special, extraordinary individual has. Minister Farrakhan, in him only, is that exquisite master student that magnificently amalgamated the mind of his teacher and produced one mind with his, the mind of Christ. And he is the only one blessed to play the musical message of truth from the teachings flawlessly, at the perfect pitch, with the perfect tonality, perfect rhythm and harmony. Look at what the minister said in closing the gap about someone blessed with the knowledge of music. The minister said, once one is blessed with that kind of knowledge, talking about the knowledge of music, then we should be able to pass on the word of God better, putting this with that to produce a message that would produce the same effect on the soul of man that beautiful music produces. That's the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's blessed with the gift and knowledge of music. That's why he is the elite individual representing the beautiful teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad perfectly. This is why it's not a coincidence that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has an exquisite, monumental compilation of music that's called Let's Change the World. He's gifted. Not only is his musical brilliance changing the world of music, but Allah God has blessed him with a divine spiritual brilliance that is affecting and transforming the entire planet. His perfect representation of his teacher is changing the world. But now we bring it back to us. You and I cannot get the benefit. We won't leave the beast animal level if all we do is hear the music. Some of us are good listeners and good clappers and good cheerleaders, but then leave my stadium, wherever, and don't do nothing. The Bible speaks about that in Matthew 11:17, King James Version. Can you bring that up? It says, we have piped unto you, and you have not danced. Can you imagine somebody come out at whoever your favorite star is, major concert, packed in the United Center, and start singing or playing music, and everybody's just frozen doing nothing? That person would think all of a sudden their talent is not what it is. So just like we obey music by dancing in tune, some of y'all are dancers, right? You know choreography. You got to dance in tune and rhythm and harmony with the beat. Well, we got to dance to Allah God's divine message of warning, guidance, and instruction coming from his messenger in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. How blessed and successful we would be, family, if we were to follow God, Allah God, like we do these shuffle line dances. Can you bring up the Cuban shuffle, please? Some of y'all ready to get up right now. I sit and watch when these songs come on, how the whole audience gets up, lines up in order, and obeys the command of that DJ 100%. They might say, hey, big girl, bag it up. And we don't hesitate. And if I said, hey, big girl, it's time to pray, you might smack me. They'll yell at you, get low, put your hands in the air, wave them to the side, right? They'll tell you to go to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the front, and you just obey the command. No hesitation. But Allah God asks us to do stuff, and we hesitate. Farrakhan asks us to do stuff, we hesitate. Let's dance to the rhythm of Islam. We must put the music of Christ in our minds so we become Christ-like. Can you bring up Colossians 3:16? I hope I said that right. Colossians. That one. All right. It reads, "Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts." Have we let the message of Christ through Minister Farrakhan dwell in us? Have we as followers and disciples moved and danced to his instructions and words of guidance? Or have we taken Allah, God's servant, and representative like a lovely song? Can you bring up Ezekiel 33:32? "Behold, you are to them like a sensual song by one who has a beautiful voice and plays well on an instrument. For they hear your words, but they do not practice them." Malcolm said, when you throw a rock in a crowd of dogs, the barking one got hit. So we as followers and disciples, hopefully we're not barking. But we need to ask ourselves, is that us? Have we taken Minister Farrakhan's beautiful words of instruction as a sensual song? If you and I want to come out of the beast level, if you and I want to be put on a road to resurrection and redemption, we must live by the teachings, message, and program given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan. Let the music of truth play, but let's dance to that music as well. Now, it's interesting that in a musical scale, there are 7 notes. Can you bring that image up? And it's interesting that the notes go from A to G. You might say, why is that interesting? Well, the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan take us from the spiritual scale up, from animal to God, from A to G. It's the right music for resurrection. Now, what are those 7 divine notes wrapped into the spiritual music composition called the body of knowledge, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Note number 1, message to the black man. Note number 2, our Savior has arrived. Note number 3, fall of America, flag of Islam, how to eat to live, book 1 and book 2. Now, I know what you're saying. Wait a minute, that's only 6. Note number 7 is the supreme wisdom lesson book given to us by Master Fard Muhammad. If we master that, we are on our way to becoming a guide. Now, there are other tracks that you have to play in the musical spiritual score. One track that we have to play is the beautiful book, Al-Kitab, the beautiful Holy Quran. Listen to what Maulana Muhammad Ali said about this book in his introduction of the Holy Quran he translated. He states, the Quran affected a transformation of humanity from the lowest depths of degradation to the highest pinnacle of civilization within an incredibly short time where centuries of reformation work had proven fruitless. You got to add that to your playlist every day. But you also must add, if you want to go from animal to God, the self-improvement study guides given to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's got to be on your playlist. And then you got to go to NOI.org or YouTube and get the Time and What Must Be Done 58-part series. Let us listen to that music every day in each day. As we close, Islam, as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan, is that spiritual music that can not just calm the savage beast, but can transform us from a subhuman animal existence to the human level and then ultimately to the divine. Don't you want to be a little guy? We close this lecture with some beautiful lyrics from one of the greatest songs of liberation, and for my hip hoppers, one of the original conscious rap songs. I know you're saying, who is he talking about? I'm talking about that song written by Minister Farrakhan entitled "The White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell." Man, if you want to get a history lesson in a song, you need to get that track. Listen to these beautiful lyrics as we close. The minister says in the song, "Now I cannot sing worth a red penny, so I'm going to recite it, but it loses the effect, so you got to go pull it down off the internet." But the minister says in the song, "Our God and Savior Allah has come. He has declared that the white man's day is done. He has given us a divine messenger, one prophesied to come. His name is Elijah. So now can stand up the whole wide world to tell our God has come to give us heaven and take the devil into hell." It's time for you and I to get up, wake up, and join our God and Savior Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, and join his nation of Islam so we can have heaven at once. May Allah bless you with the light of understanding as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Let's give it up for our student minister, Shahid, Mohammed, Mas Mariam, and all of those listening from around the world. This is why the enemy wants to censor the message and teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Oh, Brother Shahid, he preached today. Were you inspired? Were you better informed? Have we been inspired to take the mark of the beast out of our hands? You know what that means? Our deeds, our actions, our behavior, our works, and take the mark of the beast out of our head. That's the thinking and the thought pattern of the enemy. One more time, please give it up for our beloved minister, student minister, Shahid Mohammed.
Thank you. Praise be to Allah. So we closed out saying it's time. So we want to first ask the question, how many are here for their very first time? Can you raise your hand high? Our special VIP guests. Praise be to Allah. How many of you, upon hearing the word, believe that it is the truth, good for our people and the whole of humanity? Can you put your hand back in the air? Praise be to Allah. And how many of you, upon hearing that truth and accepting it, would like to join on to your nation of Islam? Can you do that by standing boldly right now from your seat? Just stand on up. All the sisters, all the brothers that want to learn more about these powerful teachings, please stand where you are right now. Don't be shy, don't be bashful. You are at home. Come on down. If you can come out the aisles, all the brothers, all the sisters, we would like to have the honor and privilege of shaking your hand, welcoming you back home to accept your own and be yourself.
All praises due to Allah. Come on, my brothers, my sisters, those of you who accept this truth and know that it is good for you, your family, and our community, and want to unite and become a part of your nation of Islam. Come on out, my brothers and sisters, and let us unite. Let us unite, let us organize, let us mobilize. Let's pool our resources in a collective manner and do something for ourselves. All praise is due to Allah. This represents the great brotherhood and the unity of black people here in America and throughout the world. All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And all praise is due to Allah for this great helper of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We thank Allah for student minister Shahid Muhammad. One more, sister. Welcome, my dear sister. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Praise be to Allah. Brother Shahid, that was fantastic. I enjoyed you thoroughly. He played some music today, didn't he? May Allah continue to bless you. I cannot express my gratitude enough for what he means for me and for us, and the great work that he does on a daily basis. This man just does not just talk, but he walks his talk. So may Allah continue to bless you. Thank you, brother. Student minister Shahid Muhammad. Brother Daniel.
Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, we're near the end of our program. We ask that at this time the Ministry of Finance steps forward. If you felt like what you heard today was a blessing and that you are a better individual because of it, we ask that you reach in your pocket, reach in your purse, and whatever Allah puts on your heart to give this morning, we ask that you put it in the receptacles as the Ministry of Finance comes around. As you prepare to give, brothers and sisters, we wanted to welcome and invite all of our brothers that every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. we have a class here at Mosque Maryam and all across the nation. If you're not familiar with your local mosque or study group, you could just type it in Google and I'm sure it'll pop up. But every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. we have a men's class. We go over a body of information and share brotherhood as men and find out how we can become better men. So we encourage all of you all out every Monday night, 7:30 p.m. If he's black, if he's a man, if he's a brother, if he's original family, come on out. We would love to share some brotherhood with you. For our sisters, your class is on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We encourage you to come out and learn more about what it is to be a righteous woman of God and what is the obligation, duty, and role that you have as beautiful black original women and original family across the planet Earth. We also have a few weekly meetings throughout the week. On Wednesdays and Fridays, we have our study groups. During the month of Ramadan, our time has been pushed a little bit earlier, so we ask that you all come out at 7 p.m. instead of our normal time of 7:30 p.m. We do want to have our meetings and end promptly so that everyone who is fasting from food and drink can, of course, indulge and relieve themselves at that time. So we encourage you to come throughout those meetings. Brothers and sisters, for those here in Chicago, our local business, the Foodie Spot, which is right across the street, every Sunday is going out to help the homeless. This is our month of Ramadan. Not only should we be fasting and refraining, we should also be giving back to our people. So if you are interested at 1:30 p.m. after today's mosque meeting, you can team up with Sister Carmela. They'll be leaving the Foodie Spot at 1:30 and going out into the community just to help and feed some of our people. Brothers and sisters, with that being said, we have a few local announcements. If you could just please stand, we're going to close in prayer. And after we close and end the webcast, we'll have a few local announcements. Attention prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we worship and thine aid do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, and not the path of those whom thy wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. Ameen. Very briefly, brothers and sisters,
are you tired of corporate-controlled media? Then it's time to subscribe to a new way of gaining access to independent and timely news coverage. Introducing the Final Call Digital Edition. The Final Call Digital Edition is on the cutting edge of print news delivery. The Final Call Digital Edition carries in-depth reporting and thought-provoking analysis of both national and international news. Get out of the old and get into the new. Subscribe to Final Call Digital Edition at digital.finalcall.com.